what about just helping kids not get so disembodied? I mean, other than sort of not beating them, not abusing them, not screaming at them, not taking them to rock concerts when they're too young. There is a place for a child at a rock concert with the correct headgear and earplugs, I would say. I've seen little rock kids being quite happy at a very young age at a rock concert with the ear mufflers. So other than that, what beyond the sort of obvious, don't beat them, don't fuck them, kind of just basic good stuff. How do we stop kids getting disembodied? That feels like part of this conversation.
We do our own work. We begin to take personal responsibility. We grow ourselves up. We become adults. When we're really adults, we will understand that our children are not out to get us when they're throwing a fit because they didn't get candy. We will understand that their body is just going crazy and that they can't control it. So we will go in instead of like, if you do that one more time, I'm never going to give you a candy again. We will go in and say, oh, sweetheart, that is so intense in your body right now. Come here. Let me hold you. Let's ride through this. Come on. We're going to stay here. We're going to stay with it. We're not going to take it personally. And parenting is such a personal thing for people. It feels like a personal affront when your child throws a fit.
That's interesting. So how do we not take that personally? Because I definitely see people take their kids' victories very personally. My little darling did this, my little darling did that. They take it very personally. And I'm like, okay, well done. Your child's good at sports. This reflects on you in no way. Your child did well at maths. That doesn't make you clever. I mean, that's a basic codependency thing, isn't it? Pride in one's child that way. But it's difficult not to take it personally. I've definitely gone both ways with this with kids. There's times I've gone, a kid has sworn at me, hit me, bit me, and because I've worked with special needs kids as well. And I've just gone, okay, you're a child. I will be nice to you. This is not behavior I've been remarkably forgiving with children, actually, remarkably. And if a adult ever bit me like that, I probably wouldn't respond quite so patiently. But other times I've gone, it's me. I'm a bad, carer in my case, rather than parent. How do you not take it personally? What's your tip if someone finds they're taking this thing that's 50% genetically them personally?
You do your work. You do your safe seat. You get healthy separation. You separate out. You don't fuse with the child, that you think that you engulf them. You think, they're responsible for my happiness. So if they're not happy, there's something wrong with me. No, they're just not happy. It's okay for your children not to be happy, right? If you have healthy separation, right? You can be happy and your child can be unhappy if you have healthy separation. It's okay. But if your child's unhappy, and
I've seen almost no mothers that could do that. Like, and some fathers more, but not a load, and almost no mothers. That separation you're talking about.
Because we were trained not to. That's what I say. We were trained to disembody from the time we get here, because we're trained. We're trained to love others, to care for others, to be generous to others, to be, all these things. But were you taught to love yourself? Were you taught to keep yourself safe? Were you taught to be generous to you? Were you taught to be effectively selfish?
Is there a gender difference here? I mean, I know we're generalizing and that's dangerous in the modern world. And it does seem like there is a gender difference I've seen in how adults I know relate to their adult parents. And, obviously it's cultural, whatever, and I would actually have quite a feminist lens potentially around this, that women particularly are taught to make their happiness depend upon others, for example.
Yes. And I think it's role oriented.
Yes,
because if a male steps into that role to be the caregiver, often some of these same things will come up, because the parent, what's the mother role or the caregiver role?
Okay. Got it. Right. That's a nice distinction. So in that mother role, you're more likely to be like that. Whereas the dad can be like, no, that's how it is. My job's to be that traditional dad role, whether it's done by man or woman, is you have to have separation, because you have to say, do your fucking homework, right? You need that separation. You can't be like, but don't make me sad while you're doing that, right? That's part of the dad role, is to do that.
Yeah, well, the healthy masculine is more about separation. The healthy feminine is more about connection, but we have to have both.
Yeah.
Right.
Different pathology. What's the opposite of codependency? Like, what's the sort of relating pathology for that? Would that be psychopathy or something?
Here we go. It's that we can nobody on that one.
That blah blah. Like, because like codependency is a bit foreign to me, so excuse me if my questions are a bit ignorant. I don't really get it. I've probably got the opposite problem. Callousness, maybe, I don't know, something like that. Because someone that's codependent can hear what you're saying as callous, couldn't they? It's like, what do you mean you can be happy while your child's sad? That lacks compassion, you know?
Yeah, yes, because we just have to go back into our early, how we were trained. We have to examine our early beliefs, right? We have to examine, where are we in our embodiment? It really comes back to embodiment again. If I'm really in my embodiment, I'm going to be able to healthily separate while someone else is doing their dance move that's different than mine.
My anchor here. You sent me a question about self-aggression. People often talk about self-kindness or self-care, but let's talk about the other side of things. I like that. What is self-aggression? Do you mean like how we talk to ourselves? Like, what do you mean?
Absolutely. If my daughter doesn't behave and then I tell myself I'm a piece of shit mom, or I'm terrible, or, it's called self-aggression. So anytime
Mums are awful at this. Like, occasionally I'm coaching people that I'm a terrible human being and a terrible mother. I'm like, what the fuck? This is harsh. Like, it's pretty full on, isn't it?
Yes. And also anytime if we other aggress on our children, it's actually a self-aggression. Because if I was a good enough mother, my child wouldn't be acting this way.
Oh, I see. Like if I was, if I really was on top of my shit, I wouldn't be shouting at my child in the supermarket who's screaming.
Yes, especially conscious parenting gets really crazy that way, because I should always be peaceful and loving and kind.
Tell me about, I don't really know the scene. Conscious parenting, from what I've seen of it, it looks sort of disgusting and soft and wet, and I don't particularly like the look of it. But what this conscious parenting, I guess, is a whole scene. It's a whole thing in America and in a few other places, Germany maybe too. What is it?
Well, it's just like, even I will give you an example: conscious parenting, attachment parenting, traditional parenting. They're just like little buckets, right? Where we put things in and we have a concept, right? And then everybody reads that concept through their conditioning. So conscious parenting, many people will read it as that I'm always going to be peaceful and
be nice, spiritual bypass.
Everything's going to be wonderful, right? And it's really painful when you get into a messy, relationship, which is parents and child. It's really, children are messy. They're wonderful. They're embodiment.
Hippie philosophy, do they? They don't give a shit, kids. They don't give a shit.
Well, their embodiment is, what embodiment's like when you're first coming in. It's messy. It's intense. It's a lot, right?
Yeah.
So if we don't understand the embodiment process, which many of us don't because we had to disembody, we go rational and we think, oh, well, that 3-year-old should be able to sit in that restaurant with all that noise, with all those stimulation, and they should be able to sit still and they should be able to mind their manners and be kind to everyone. Right. And the 3-year-old's body is like going like this, because they're offering them crayons, they're giving them chocolate, there's people screaming, there's noise, there's this, and the 3-year-old's body's like this. So what finally happens with the 3-year-old? They go, ah! And then the parent gets mad at them and says, okay, I'm never going to bring you back to that restaurant ever again if you act that way. Well,
right.
Why did you take them into that restaurant? Why didn't you recognize that their body was getting overstimulated and titrate that for them, right? And support them and say, we're only going to go in for 10 minutes this time. Next time we'll do 20.
Okay,
we don't do that.
Let's get to the important stuff here, Leslie. What do I do when I'm in a cafe and someone's in there and their kid's screaming and they're not doing anything about it? And it's, I'm trying to have a meeting or do some civilized adult shit. They think it's a crash. It's not. I'm on an airplane, maybe. The child's crying and screaming. The parent's not doing anything. Is there a way I can support that parent to shut that child up? This is the important stuff. What do I do?
On that airplane, why don't you start singing a lullaby?
Singing, I could do that. That's fun. I could do that. Right? Singing a song.
Instead of feeling your discomfort and thinking that baby should take care of you, you're an adult. Why do you think that baby that's on an airplane that's trapped, whose ears are hurting?
Wow, I'm an adult. I'm not an adult responsible for that child.
Yeah, but you're an adult and you can recognize that child is on that plane. His ears are burning. His embodiment is going crazy. He can't soothe himself. He's 9 months old. You're this beautiful, responsible adult. Why don't you start singing a lullaby?
Thank you. That's a nice one. I would try the lullaby one, though. As a man, if you interact with children at all in public, it can be immediately frowned upon. But it's kind of one of the sad things about being a man. Okay, and in the cafe, is there a way you can talk to parents without them freaking out. Because in my experience, if I talk to parents about anything to their children, they get massively defensive.
First thing you got to do is feel your own discomfort. Okay, you got to ask yourself,
okay,
where am I coming from?
I'm trying to work. There's a kid screaming. I'm annoyed.
But where am I coming from? You know, like, okay, they have a right to be in there, just like you have a right to be in there, right? They do. I mean, it's a free restaurant, right? So why is your comfort more important than theirs?
Well, I look at it like smoking. It's totally fine to do it, but I don't want to breathe your smoke. It's like I don't want to hear your child screaming.
So then you leave.
So it's okay if I walk into a restaurant you're in and start smoking next to you, because you can leave.
Yeah, I can leave. I'm an adult. I can.
So
leave.
You're okay with smoking in places you go, because it's
I don't go into places where they're smoking.
Well, unfortunately, there's no job. I'm kind of playing devil's advocate.
I know you are. I know, but I'm playing with you.
There's out there who don't have a voice, who are just annoyed by this constantly.
I know, but I'm playing with you with, first of all, safe seat. Deal with your annoyance. Say, oh, wow, of course you're annoyed. Of course you want them to stop. Of course that's intense. Of course you just sit with that. And then you come back into your adult, like I say on the airplane, and you go, okay, what are my creative options here?
Yeah.
I can sing a lullaby, or I can move my seat, or I could, say something to the woman.
The parents are terrorists and get them removed to the back of the plane in chains.
Exactly, right? That's from your discomfort. That's a young strategy. That's from your discomfort. I want to have power over that discomfort.
Joking aside, one thing I find is rather than having a sort of being critical, because parents are remarkably defensive about that, is actually just say, can I help? And I've had quite good response from that a few times, where I've had to say, listen, I work a lot with kids. Is it possible that I can help? And I'll play a little game or do something like that. Sometimes just distraction is one thing I do to help parents out when I see them. Is a child can be in quite a certain mood, and then if you distract them, like just start walking around on all fours, and the kid stops having a tantrum and goes, why is that man on all fours? And then he's just curious. I'm walking and I start making cat noises.
Because
right?
You're not judging now. You're not judging. You're not thinking that child caused your discomfort, so therefore needs to fix it.
No. I hate the parent, not the child.
Yes,
so it's.
But the parent is a child in that moment.
I know. And you know what?
When a parent, let me tell you, Mark, when a child is going off in a crash or in the restaurant, not in the crash, we don't call them crashes here, but if they're going off in a restaurant, that mother is starting, or father is starting to feel so young and so powerless and so helpless, because they don't want that baby to do that either, but they don't know how to stop it. So go attend to the parent as if they're a child.
Yeah. I mean, just giving them a little bit. Like sometimes I've gone, hey, can I buy you a drink on the plane? And just go, yeah, I'll have a beer. But what they're really wanting is the empathy and the support of somebody else.
You go, I know you're trying. I know this is hard. This must be difficult. Can I just sit with you? Can I take your baby out of your hands for a moment?
When they're not trying, that I'm bothered, Leslie. That's when I'm bothered. Not when they're broken, because sometimes you see a parent and they just look like. I realized this when I looked after my friend's kid for 3 days to give her a rest, and she had some health issues. And I realized, oh shit, this is incessant. I think this is what people who have never looked after kids. I've done it residentially with special needs kids. And we used to get 1 day off every 10 days. And by 10 days, you were broken. You were just broken. And that 1 day off was like, you just went to the bar and just shook as you drank, And and that's what I think people don't get who've never looked after kids residentially, whether they be parents or not, is how it doesn't stop. And it's like, you don't know what that parent has gone through for the last 2 months of sleeplessness, of you're just seeing the one thing at the end of it, right?
Exactly. So if you're the responsible adult, you got to still deal with your discomfort, because it sucks. It's like, you don't want to hear a baby crying on the plane, because you got stuff to do. You work with that, and then you go, the reality is this baby is crying on the plane, and I'm an adult.
Yeah, boys noise reduction headphones, £200, best £200 you'll ever spend. Boys noise reduction headphones. Let me put an advert for them. If boys want to sponsor me, I'm a big user of your headphones. So
I want to tell you that really quickly. That's your capacity as an adult. As a child, you couldn't leave. You couldn't go get new parents, right? Sure. So you had to, do things like be upset but as an adult, like you say, you can put your headphones on, you can go offer help, you can move to the back of the plane, you can do all kinds of things. That baby can't do anything.
Yeah. And, you know, that's quite a good frame generally in life, isn't it? Just because, you know, where it doesn't have to be a child trigger. Sometimes I'm with my colleague and I'm like, with Daniela talking about the conference, and one of us is freaking out because of some bullshit. And I'm like, which is it my turn to be the grown up today? Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of stepping into the grown up position until she can. And then we swap. It only goes wrong when both of us can't do it. We had one day, I don't know when that happened, but generally at least one of us can be the grown up. You know, that seems to be the secret.
The safe seat is where we get to go back and be with that child and grow it up healthfully, right? We get to reparent ourselves in that safe seat and I always say, talk to the feelings. Just talk, don't believe them.
If you're dealing with men, call it the Throne of Manliness, not the safe seat. That we've got to rebrand that.
You can call it that.
The Throne of Manliness. That's what it's called for the dads, okay? Anyway,
you can call it that.
Mindful Fatherhood by Vidya Dasa, my friend, if anyone wants a good book for the dads. Okay, Leslie, this is cool. So people find you online at purejoyparenting.com. That sounds like an oxymoron to me, but I'm going to take your word for it. Purejoyparenting.com, is that right?
That is it. And they can find me on Facebook. What should they check out there? Is there anything to tempt people there? Oh, I have my courses. I do small groups with parents, 6 to 8 parents, which are my favorite modality to do, because then you don't feel so alone.
Try Leslie online for $97. That sounds like a bargain. And you've got a podcast too.
I do.
Feel free to put this on your own podcast as well. We can give you the recording for that if you like. There's a blog there. Cool. Any other sort of good books or good resources that, is this the Chinese child blowing something, but it says podcasts, who's now an adult by the looks of things. Okay, so any other good resources you recommend for any parents out there who hate me now and they're going, okay, Mark, shut up, enough of you. Where can I get some resources? What would you recommend?
One of my favorite books, it is not a parenting book, but if I know you have a lot of people that are spiritual seekers and Buddhist and embodiment people, is by Bruce Tift. It's called Already Free.
Already Free, it's called.
Already Free, yes. I highly, highly recommend that book. It'll blow your mind. He does the fruitional view as well as the Western view of developmental psychology, as well as the fruitional view.
Yeah, that guy's clever, isn't he? He's got a very sophisticated view of psychological and spiritual sort of combined. Yeah, he's really quite sophisticated.
Amazing.
Okay, and in the sort of parenting space, anything that people should check out? This is all new to me, so totally ignorant.
Yeah, just go over to my page. I have a Facebook practice page where people come in, where I do inquiry questions almost every other day. And it's Pure Joy Parenting Practice page. So you can get a lot more information on how I work. I mean, it's
Leslie Potter, like Harry Potter, right? So
yes.
Cultural appropriation.
Pure Joy Parenting Practice page.
There you go. And then there's on the website, there's Parenting Paused. Yes. Embarrassed in public by your child's behavior. Got it. And then there's pictures of mums with screaming babies and happy families and all sorts on there. Good. All right. Well, I've given you quite a hard time today, but you've taken it very well. I hope you don't need to sort of sit on a safe seat after this.
Not at all. I enjoyed
fun sparring with you and being devil's advocate. So don't take it personally. I'm just a naughty child. And you have a closing message about the body, Leslie? You're still smiling. That's good. A closing message about the body for all our listeners in relating to anything.
Be kind, be gentle as you come back into your body. Most likely you are going to hit a lot of those pockets of early things that happened. Even if you had a healthy childhood, there's a lot of, in traditional parenting, again, we're not taught to really stay in our bodies. So be gentle, be kind, and loving.
Boom. I think you nailed it there. Leslie, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Take care. Thank you.